but you gotta keep your head up. Oh, and you can let your head down. Hey, you gotta keep your head up. Oh, and you can let your head down.
Good evening and welcome to the Carolyn Holt Show. I cannot believe it, but it's a new year already, 2017. I am looking forward to a great year, and I thank you guys so much for making 2016 a very memorable year for me. But I'm expecting to create even more memories in 2017. This year, I really do want to help you move from misery to magnificence and from subpar to spectacular. And I think I have some ways to help you do that. But tonight, we will be talking about the legacy of African Americans. You know, today is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, and we applaud him and we honor him for his service to America. But it is just so many more whose names you don't know that have contributed to the success of this place that we call America. One of the people that has made great contribution is the exiting 44th President of the United States, President Barack Obama. Now, putting politics aside and putting aside what you may love or dislike about our president, he truly has a great legacy to leave because he is the first African American or Black president in these United States of America, which is a feat within itself. And I say, job well done, especially considering the challenges and the lack of obvious support. I think he has done a remarkable job with the set of circumstances that was dealt to him. Some think by his own doing, some think because of the lack of interest from the presiding body over the United States Congress, because he has not gotten the support that that would be expected for a president. So we will see if moving forward under the newly president-elect Donald Trump, if policies will change for the better and for all people. That has yet to be determined. But like I said, today is the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and I tell you, he really is to be commended because when he started his legacy that he's most remembered for, he was only 26 years old. And I think about when I was 26, my goal at 26 was certainly not to be a leader and certainly not civil rights. So Dr. Martin Luther King really was a man of destiny, because I just don't believe that the regular John Q. Public 26-year-old would take up such a mantle and lead so graciously under horrible conditions. So I salute Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his great legacy. One of the things that Dr. King said that is most memorable for me is not necessarily about his I Have a Dream speech, because the I Have a Dream speech is very important. It is part of the fabric of America. But I remember in one of his speeches, he made the statement that, and it may not have been in a speech, it just may have been in conversation, when he said that a man who has not discovered what he is willing to die for isn't fit to live. And when I think about what a challenge to humanity, if you have not discovered what you're willing to die for, you're not fit to live. Well, I think it's also telling just in terms of his life, because as you know, Dr. King didn't live a long life. He was, I think, 39 at the time that he was assassinated. But to have figured that out in his 20s and in his 30s is very profound, I believe. Now, I'm not saying that I Have a Dream is not a fabulous speech. I'm not saying that at all. But he just said so many profound things that challenge us, perhaps in ways that we had not thought about. So his legacy is worth remembering, and his legacy is worth honoring. And today is the day that we do that. But when I think about all of his contributions, I don't think that one day is enough, because a man that dedicated his life to public service and to civil rights, that's a hard job that you just can't get done, say, in a year or 10 years. I mean, it's a lifelong commitment. Now, most of us, we just have a job that we enjoy doing, hopefully, and we do it in order to support and sustain ourselves. But this was a life's work for Dr. King. Civil rights was a life's work. And I have to commend him and say that it was a job well done. Now, there are many who say, oh, well, you know, Dr. King, he had his frailties and he had his shortcomings. All of this is true. Any man, I would say that they have their frailties and they have their shortcomings. But on tonight's show, what I'd like to do is deal with not the frailties and the shortcomings of humanity, but just the contributions. Because in America, the unfortunate thing is that we don't hear a lot about the positive contributions of Black people. And tonight, that's what I want to talk about, because the movie Hidden Figures, I have not seen it yet, but I know a lot of people that have. And one of the comments that I've heard spoken most often in the last couple of weeks since it's been out is that many people have said, you know, I cannot believe I'm in my 50s and I don't know about these women. Well, I thought about that, and it is true that you shouldn't have to be 50 years old and have a movie made in order to know about such dynamic and awesome and wonderful people. Because if you just look at the information that's spread daily about what happens here in America, the names are not there. And I think we need to change that. But it's going to take us, the interested parties, in our own valuable contribution to America to change things. It is up to the Black man and the Black woman to take a stand and say, yes, we do matter. Yes, we have made contributions that affect lives every day. And people don't know of these good folks. So I say this, that we all get busy and start to think about the legacy that we're leaving on America as Black people, because we have made major contributions just to the daily lives. In the last 100 years, we have really left our impact on things that affect all of our lives day to day. And they're not talked about on the evening news. But just because they're not talked about does not mean that they're not relevant, and it does not mean that it's incumbent upon somebody else to tell us about the value that we bring. When you really think about Black people, our mark has been left on history all over the world, not just in America, but in America in particular, because I guess this is known as the land of the free and the home of the brave. But yet we came here in shackles, and from that experience, we have, made our way and left our mark under the most trying of conditions and circumstances. And because of some of those trying conditions and circumstances, that's why we are saluting Dr. Martin Luther King today, because it was his work and his fellow citizens that joined him in helping to shine a light on some of the atrocities that were going on right here in America, which were shameful and disgraceful and simply had no basis for being, simply due to the color of one's skin. Well, you know, when I think about that, I often think about, well, when you picked us up in Africa and brought us to America, didn't you notice then that our skin was different? And so if our skin made that much difference, I'm puzzled and baffled by why did you bring us here if that really was an issue? So perhaps the answer to that question will never be known. But I sit here today as a very proud American. I am a very proud Black person because I realize that since I survived, my ancestors survived the Middle Passage, I'm still here, and along with the thousands of others that are still here, we still have the ability to make a major difference in America, and we have. And on tonight's show, I'm going to talk about not only honoring Dr. King and President Barack Obama, but I want to talk about some of the lesser-known Americans that have made contributions to daily life that they go unnoticed, but you use the things that they invented, and you use the ideas that they have created daily. And you just don't know that the person responsible for these great achievements, that they are Black. And so I just want to share, because I think it's fascinating, some of the people that I'm going to talk about tonight. I think it's fascinating to hear what their contributions have been. But we're going to go to break, and when we come back, I want to share with you the names of some of the faceless people in America that are Black, but yet have left their mark. So stay with me, everybody.
Mastering math can be big fun, fun for you and everyone. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Sing, play it. Math Maze.
Why not turn math time into fun time with Math Maze, the new game craze? Get yours today at mathmaze.us.
Mom, now you can help your son master math and have big fun. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say, play Math Maze.
Make sure your child owns the skills necessary for success in high school algebra. Get it now. Mathmaze.us. Mathmaze.us.
Dad, now you can help your daughter play it like you know you oughta. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it, Math Maze.
Math Maze cards contain both Spanish and English. Get yours today at mathmaze.us. That's mathmaze.us.
The American flags and such.
In the Persian Gulf and throughout the world, please join in the singing of our national anthem. The anthem will be followed by a flyover of F-16 jets from the 56th Tactical Training Wing at MacDill Air Force Base, and will be performed by the Florida Orchestra under the direction of Maestro Yaha Ling and sung by Grammy.
Wow. Welcome back. That was Whitney Houston. I tell you, when you think of the Star Spangled Banner, I say this, there have been a lot of wonderful singers that have sung the Star Spangled Banner, including Whitney Houston, Jennifer Hudson. But I must say that Whitney's version really does just speak to my soul. If you'd like to talk to me tonight regarding the legacy of the African American or the Black people in America, you can feel free to call me at area code 323-293-3375. This is the Carolyn Holt Show, and the number to call is area code 323-293-3375. And before I get to the long list of African Americans who've made such a valuable contribution to this country, I just want to say this about the outgoing President Barack Obama. Because of the legislation that he put into place that may or may not be kept when the new administration takes office, 22 million people have been able to benefit from the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, whichever you prefer to call it. And that's quite a feat. But not only was he the first Black president, when he came into office in 2008, it was believed that America was on the verge of collapsing. America, the great and major power that it is, was on the verge of collapsing. And this young man, whom some referred to as merely a community organizer, came in and steadied the ship for the next 8 years. Now, I understand that you may love the president or you may not be crazy about him at all. But I think sometimes you just have to give credit where credit is due. And with the Affordable Care Act, there had been 7 other attempts. And people don't mention this when they are being critical of him and making all kinds of disparaging remarks about him. There had been 7 attempts before this president to get health care, hopefully universal health care, but that didn't happen. But health care had been an issue with 7 presidents, and he was able to accomplish that, to get 22 million Americans covered. The other thing was that the banking and financial industry was in ruins and on the verge of collapsing. The auto industry had its troubles, and he also reshaped the American energy policy. So while he may not have done something that perhaps you would have liked to have seen him do, perhaps he may not have done something that you would have liked to have seen him do. We have to give credit where credit is due. So I want to say, well done to President Barack Obama, because you have made things work even when it seemed impossible to do so. So I thank you for your tenure as our 44th President of the United States. But like I said, America is a big place, and America has a lot going on, and I sit here proudly as a Black woman when I think about the stamp and the mark that we've made on America. And so tonight I'm just going to name some people that you may or may not know and talk about their contribution to America. And the first person is Lewis Latimer. Now, you may go, well, who is Lewis Latimer? Well, his invention was the carbon filament for the light bulb, which made it a common feature in American households. Thomas Jefferson is given credit for the invention of the light bulb, but Lewis Latimer created the filament. And without the filament, it would not be in American households like it is. So he also worked for Alexander Graham Bell, and Alexander Graham Bell is credited for having the patent for the telephone. So when you think about your daily life, the telephone and the filament in a light bulb, as I sit here, I feel fabulous. I'm sitting under great lighting, and you can see me very well. So lighting is a major achievement, and Lewis Latimer should not be forgotten, because he is equally important as Thomas Edison. And since my audience for this show is 18 to 34, I don't want you to ever forget that, because many times, as it has been said about the movie Hidden Figures, we often don't find out about important things, but Lewis Latimer is very important in American history, and don't you forget that. Another important person would be Otis Boykin. Now, I had never heard of this man until I started to do some research, and most of these names came from theroot.com and some other, inventors.about.com and thecoolmag.com. So that's where I got this list. But Mr. Otis Boykin, his invention was the artificial heart pacemaker. Now, if you just think about just the people that are known and unknown that have dealt with heart attacks and suffered with their heart, the artificial heart pacemaker control unit, it's the modern day pacemaker as we know it. It wouldn't exist without him. So he is certainly somebody that should be given a lot of credit, because the pacemaker is just an invaluable tool that's used often these days relative to issues with hearts and heart attacks. The next person I want to talk about is Henry Brown. Now, Henry Brown, he's responsible for creating the fire safe safe. And, you know, a safe is where you keep your valuables, you know, your important papers and maybe money or whatever it is that you keep in your safe. But Henry Brown, his invention helped to keep keepsakes in a safe way. So we salute Henry Brown. The next person that I think that is incredible and you should know about is Granville T. Woods. He invented the multiplex telegraph. And what this telegraph did was it sent messages between train stations and moving trains. And because of his work, it assured us of a better transportation system. Can you imagine, with all the things that we have today that helps in terms of communication, the telegraph, I think, is really the forerunner to all of these gadgets and devices, I guess, that we use and just think nothing of it. But Mr. Granville T. Woods, he is responsible for a better transportation system. The next person is Gerald A. Lawson. Now, Gerald A. Lawson, he is responsible for the modern home video gaming console. Now, I know you people know a lot about that. You know, if you have like a Wii or a PlayStation or an Xbox, any of those things, that's something that is a staple in American homes today, and not just American homes, but homes all over the world, but certainly here in America. And Gerald A. Lawson is responsible, especially if you own, like I said, an Xbox or a Wii. His system of using interchangeable cartridges gave gamers the opportunity to play a variety of games and a way to earn profits by selling individual games, which is a business model still used today. Now, just think about it. If you have the opportunity to invent something, it's really remarkable because it not only serves an entertainment value in your life, but it lives on because this business model that was created along with the invention is something that's still very much in use. So what a legacy for Gerald A. Lawson, because like I said, this is something that most people use and they don't even think about, well, how did this make it to my household? So Gerald Lawson is a name that you probably want to know more about. The next person on my list is a female, and her name is Patricia Bath. And Patricia is noted for her invention of the cataract laser phaco probe. And this New York ophthalmologist, her invention helped save the eyesight of millions and restored the eyesight of countless others. I don't know if you've ever had, I guess, cataract surgery. A lot of people I know, whenever I've gone to the Jules Stein Institute out at UCLA, you see a lot of people sitting because they've had cataract surgery. Well, I for some reason, it just warms my heart to know that a Black female is just an integral part of cataract surgery, which happens like on a routine basis every day here in America. But like I said, the problem for me is that for the most part, people just don't give us credit for the great value that we bring. because cataract surgery, like I said, has become routine and successful on a daily basis. But I don't hear many people mentioning the name of Patricia Bath. The next person you may actually know something about. His name is Mark Hanna. And the reason I say that you might know something about Mark Hanna, because Mark is a computer scientist. And he's responsible for the 3D graphic technology used in films. And some of the famous films that his technology has been an integral part of is Jurassic Park and Terminator 2 and The Abyss. And I know that Jurassic Park, if my information is correct, Jurassic Park is like one of the greatest movies of all time for some people. Not for me, but for some people, this is like the end all and be all. But I was just tickled pink when I found out about Mark Hanna, because he played an integral part of the graphic technology for such movies. So think about that when you go to the movie. The next person on my list is Garrett Morgan. Now, I think that most of us have heard of Garrett Morgan before, but in the event that you haven't, he is most noted for the invention of the gas mask. And the use of his gas mask, it made national news because it was used to rescue 32 men that were trapped 250 feet in an underground tunnel. And this gas mask was integral in saving their lives. And it has saved the lives of countless firemen and police officers and soldiers around the world. So it's just not here in America that a lot of these inventions have served well. It's all over the world. I mean, these things are important no matter where you live. But now, if you'd like to talk to me and add to this conversation, you can feel free to call me at area code 323-293-3375, because I'd love to have you in on the conversation. Again, this is the Carolyn Holt Show, and the number to participate in tonight's show is area code 323-293-3375. The next person on my list, now some of you might know this person as well. His name is Lonnie Johnson. And the reason that I say that some of you might know him, Lonnie Johnson is the inventor of the Super Soaker. Now some parents don't approve of the Super Soaker. I can understand why. But Lonnie Johnson, the inventor, he became a multi-millionaire as a result of this invention. It's my understanding that he made about $200 million. Now, that's not chop change or small change, no matter where you are in the world. So this Super Soaker was considered a real phenomenon in retail because this particular money that he made, it allowed him to go on. He decided to use the money that he made from this Super Soaker. He decided to use the money to invent some energy technology. So he didn't just rest on his laurels. Once he created this and it created wealth for him, he went on to do some other magnificent things. And that's the thing I think that we have to always keep in mind. Not only are we very creative and brilliant people, you can do more than one thing in life. It's life is not just about doing one thing and that's the end of it. For however long you might live, creating is one of those things that never stop. So my hat goes off to Lonnie Johnson because he didn't just stop with the Super Soaker. He's still doing wonderful things. The next person on my list is Percy Julian. Now, Percy Julian is the inventor of the process of synthesis. And this process is important because it allowed scientists to create chemicals that were rare in nature. And one of the chemicals created by Percy Julian resulted in the development of the birth control pill and also some improvements in the production of cortisone. But when you think about it, for me anyway, being a woman, the birth control pill was like liberty for a lot of women because it gave them, in their minds, better choices about family and the size of family. And it really revolutionized how young women, say born in the 60s and the 70s, made choices about their sexual behavior as well. So Percy L. Julian, when you really think about it, he's the guy that's responsible for modern birth control, because the birth control pill has been one of those inventions that has really changed how people think about family. The next person is Frederick Jones. Now, Frederick Jones is responsible for inventing mobile refrigeration. His invention allowed for transportation of perishable foods like meat and produce. You know, when you are driving down the highway and you see those big 18-wheeler trucks, a lot of times they're carrying food, but his invention was mobile refrigeration, which changed the eating habits across the country. And during his lifetime, he was awarded over 60 patents. Now, I could be wrong, but I really don't think that in our day-to-day discussion, we say, man, we really appreciate Frederick Jones because we can still have fresh produce in our grocery stores that may have traveled a very long way, but it is safe because of mobile refrigeration. But that's my point in tonight's show, is that we want to start to think about the value as Black people that we bring to this great land, no matter what people say about us and how they leave us out of conversations and how they don't honor us and how we perhaps are never mentioned for our contributions. I want to impress upon you to start to think about just how important you are as a Black person, okay? The next person on my list is George Carruthers. Now, George's invention is the ultraviolet camera spectrograph. Now, this device traveled to the moon with Apollo 16 in 1972. And it helped researchers to study the Earth's atmosphere, providing crucial information on how the world works. Now, when you think about it, information on how the world works, not just information on getting to the moon, but information on how the world works. So that is quite a feat within itself. But his name is George Carruthers. And if you know anything about the space program, which is what Hidden Figures is about, there are a lot of Black people behind the scenes that have made the space program go. Now, we're going to take a break, and when I come back, I'm going to wrap up my list of people that I think that you should know and whose legacy you should be informed about. So stay with me. I'll be right back.
Mastering math can be big fun, fun for you and everyone. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it, Math Maze.
Why not turn math time into fun time with Math Maze, the new game craze? Get yours today at mathmaze.us.
Mom, now you can help your son master math and have big fun. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it. Math Maze.
Make sure your child owns the skills necessary for success in high school algebra. Get it now. Mathmaze.us. Mathmaze.us.
And now you can help your daughter play it like you know you oughta. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it. Math Maze.
Math Maze cards contain both Spanish and English. Get yours today at mathmaze.us. That's mathmaze.us.
Good evening and welcome back to the Carolyn Holt Show. Tonight's show is about the legacy of Black America because we have left our stamp on this country. And the unfortunate thing is that many times our name is just not mentioned in conversation, even though the inventions and the contributions that we've made are critical. Now, tonight I'm basically talking about inventions that are tangible, that we can feel and touch in our lives. There are a lot of other contributions that we've made, but this is just about the tangible things that we can touch. The next person on my list is Dr. Charles Richard Drew, and he's responsible for the blood bank. His research in the field of blood transfusions led to improved techniques of blood storage, and he applied his expertise to the development of large-scale blood banks early in World War II. But a funny thing happened. His invention allowed medics to save thousands of lives of Allied forces. Now, his work he did for the United States and for Britain. But he ended up resigning because of a ruling that the blood of Black Americans had to be segregated. Now, can you imagine how Dr. Drew felt getting that news? But again, his actions remind me of what I said that Dr. Martin Luther King said at the very beginning of the show. He said that a man who's not willing to die for something isn't fit to live. And so I applaud Dr. Charles Drew because here he is helping everybody across the world. And yet there's this ruling that comes down that Black Americans, their blood had to be segregated. My goodness. The next person on my list is Alexander Miles. He is responsible for the modern day elevator design. But although he didn't invent the elevator, His design improved the method of opening and closing of the elevator doors, and he developed the closing of the elevator shaft so that when an elevator was not positioned at a floor, you would still be safe. And his patent is still in use today. Now, the next person on my list is something that all of you young folks should know about, especially if you enjoy rap music. The person's name is James E. West, and he invented the electroacoustic transducer electric microphone. Without this invention, rappers would not be able to rock the mic. West and Gerhard Sessler developed this microphone, for which they received a patent in 1962. The reason their invention is important is because it was acoustically accurate, this particular microphone. It was lightweight and cost-effective. So 90% of the microphones in use today, including the ones in the telephones, tape recorders, and camcorders, are based on Mr. West's invention. So James West, keep that name in mind. The next person on my list is Arthur Zane. Arthur invented the CardioPad. The CardioPad is a touchscreen medical tablet that enables electrocardiograms to be performed in a remote location while the results are transferred to a specialist who can interpret the data. So Arthur Zane, so remember that name as well. And like I said at the beginning of the show, these are people that invented things that we use every day, but yet there's never any mention of who they are. And so I want to make you aware tonight that these are Black people. The next person is Jan Metzliger. Jan Metzliger. He invented the shoe lasting machine. This particular machine, it increased the availability of shoes and decreased the price of footwear. All women everywhere will thank him. This machine sped up production of shoes, which resulted in employment of unskilled workers and the proliferation of low-cost, high-quality footwear around the world. And the last young man on my list, his name is Ludwig Meerschain. Ludwig is responsible for the dry bath. At age 21, Ludwig developed a formula that people use to bathe without water. Dry bath is a lotion that cleanses cheaply and easily, and his invention is important because 2.5 billion, not million, 2.5 billion people who don't have access to water and proper sanitation benefit from the dry bath. And this is a young man. So young people, that's what I want you to know, is that you have so much power to do great and wonderful things, as we have always done as Black people. We've done things with excellence and with grace and creativity, and we don't want that to stop. But the key in all of it, as far as I am concerned, is knowing your value and being secure in who you are and what you have to offer to the world. Because you never know. You just don't know the ultimate effect that your creativity can bring. I know it's popular to become athletes and celebrities. There's nothing wrong with that. Those are all wonderful pursuits. But there's just so much in the world to do. And like I said, even though you don't know the names of these people, you know their work. And the goal and the idea is that moving forward, that people will know your work, but hopefully they will know your name as well. Just know that you can make a contribution in whatever area of endeavor that you so choose. There are still a lot of things that need to be addressed. There are a lot of needs in the world. And why not be the person to supply those needs? Because you have just as much right to make this contribution as anybody else. Now, like I said, one of the negatives of making such large contributions is that people may not know your name, but they will certainly recognize what you've contributed. So when you are in school, work hard, study hard, stay on track, because you can really have an impact and make a difference in this world that has never been made before. So always keep that in mind. And to young black males, I want to say, you are so important in this world. I don't know whether you hear that from people every day, but I'm here to tell you that you really are. I mean, when you think about the world, the pyramids that were built in Egypt, they're still trying to figure out the mathematics behind such an undertaking. So when you go to school every day, it's so important to focus and to learn as much as you possibly can, because you just don't know how you're going to leave your mark. And if no one has told you, I'm here to tell you that as a black man, you are very important. And when you think about it, I know that you may not think about it in these terms, but you are something that you are an entity that's sought out by everybody. White men love you, white women love you, Asian men love you, Asian women love you, Hispanic men love you, Hispanic women love you, black women love you. I mean, you are loved, you are appreciated, you are necessary. And don't ever let the negativity that you hear in reference to your pursuits stop you, because your value is immeasurable. You are just royalty, and you need to keep that in mind as you go about your daily lives, because that's the reason I have this show, to encourage you and to inspire you and help you to understand that your job is to move from misery to magnificence and from subpar to spectacular. Keep that in mind in 2017, and you can leave your mark all over the world. Thank you so much for listening, and have a good night.
Mastering math can be big fun. Fun for you and everyone. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Sing it, play it, Math Maze.
Why not turn math time into fun time with Math Maze, the new game craze? Get yours today at mathmaze.us.
Mom, now you can help your son master math and have big fun. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Sing it, play it, Math Maze.
Make sure your child owns the skills necessary for success in high school algebra. Get it now. Mathmaze.us. Mathmaze.us.
Dad, now you can help your daughter play it like you know you oughta. Play it each and every day. Master math the easy way. Say it, play it, Math Maze.
Math Maze cards contain both Spanish and English. Get yours today at mathmaze.us. That's mathmaze.us.
And suddenly the kettle didn't seem so tough.